well, and I must apologise to anyone who's arrived. The
Yeah.
delay is on my side. The delay is entirely on my side.
We understand. We understand. It is very, very early morning, in Australia, isn't it? Um,
Yes, yes.
mm,
I want to. Oh, that's better. I want to be level with you.
yes.
Yeah.
So, are we level now, or is Miu needs to
Yes,
come a little
yes.
bit
So
back?
I'm
Yeah.
looking. So I'm looking you in the eye.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. I'll put this in. Oh, is my sound all right according to you? Can you hear me?
Very, very good. It's very clear. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, welcome aboard to this live stream.
Thank you.
Again,
And good morning.
Catherine,
Good morning from Sydney, but good evening. Good evening to you.
indeed, and to you too. It's been a brilliant weather here in the UK. We had spells of rain in the morning, but it sort of settled down as the day went by. And it's looking beautiful outside. In fact, I might go for a walk after this live stream.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's very cold here still.
Yeah.
The skies are blue. The days are getting a little bit longer, but
Yes.
it's still very, very, it's icy. It feels like it's coming off the snow. So,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it's nothing like the weather you get in the UK. I'm not complaining.
Hmm. Hmm. Well,
I live near the
Australia,
beach. No, I'm not complaining.
yes, you're so lucky. I mean, people pay thousands to get to where you are on holiday and all of that sort of thing, but you live there on a daily basis. So, how
Yes,
lucky
yeah,
you are.
yeah.
And I
Well,
love
when you
your
come,
heart.
well, I
Oh,
wear them all the time
it's
because of the
beautiful.
sun. But I think I discovered them a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, they're very youthful. You need to start keep you buy it. I've got about six of them. So,
Yeah.
but they're very good. I'm a big walker, as I've mentioned. So,
Hmm.
yeah, they're very good, yeah, out in the daylight with this Irish skin. It's like I hate the
Mm-hmm.
sun.
You
Yeah,
don't need it
but
anywhere near to
no,
your
no,
skin, no,
no.
yeah.
But
And
thank you, thank you.
you're welcome. Welcome, everybody who is on this live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know we advertised this live for
Mm.
9 o'clock, but apologies. We had some slight delays. But yes, here we go. With Catherine again, we are going to literally be talking about what is going on in our royals world. Catherine, Catherine, Princess of Wales, returns to Wimbledon. How brilliant, how adorable she looked.
Oh, she looked divine, and
Mm,
um, oh, she's used to being bullied. She was bullied at school, so
mm,
she knows how to rise above the fray. And people were saying, "Oh, she was out of the limelight for a facelift." All this nonsense, and they're saying,
mm,
"How come she looks so radiant?" But if you remember, before she was beginning to look a bit tired,
mm,
and so now that they're addressing whatever it was that was draining her or attacking her immune system,
mm.
now that they're getting rid of it, of course she looks fabulous. Her fabulousness just radiates. It's wonderful.
She
But
did,
that's
she
because
did.
she's on the mend. She was sick
Mm,
last year and no one knew, not even her.
And she turns up very, very gorgeous in her royal purple. Everybody, the internet was broken. She broke the internet, literally. She did. And I know her husband, Prince William, was, of course, traveling down to Berlin to watch the England Spain game, Euros final football. And Prince George went alongside his father, King Charles, sorry, Prince William. So they all stepped out to go and attend these sporting events. How nice it would have been, England to win.
Yeah.
It would have been the icing of the cake. But then
Yeah.
again, Catherine's showing up at these games sort of lifted everybody's moods. And even if England lost, I think the nation had something else to talk about. And that's Catherine Princess of Wales' adorable show at the men's final at Wimbledon.
Oh,
Mm,
and do I keep an eye on the Twitter trends on X. Now, X is not the world, okay,
mm,
but we pay attention to it. It's where a
mm,
lot of news breaks, etc., etc. So,
mm.
but what a relief this week to not see Meghan Markle trending.
Oh,
She for the last few days, it's just been Catherine, William, and the assassination attempt. Now, for her to break the internet against that backdrop was
mm.
it tells you everything you need to know about her standing.
Oh, yes, yes.
Americans wanted to know how she was. Americans were tuning in to the news about Catherine,
Mm,
and this is against the backdrop of the attempted assassination. So
mm.
this, like her standing, it's incredible. She's in another stratosphere.
She's always going to break the
Mm,
internet every time she comes out. And
mm,
she, the interesting thing is she breaks it for all the adorable reasons. And,
mm,
we know how she doesn't want to take all these limelights and spotlights and all of that. But she had to turn up at this event because she's the patron of the Tennis Association. Okay, so it's not like out of the blue she picked the event she wanted to go to because she wanted to sort of come and overshadow what's going on here and there. But it was, I think, the perfect timing again for for the people, the country, the world to have a look at how their princess is developing after that treatment. We know that we last saw her for the king's birthday, okay, parade.
yeah.
uh, but it was still very early days of in her treatment, and so we got that little glimpse of her out of that carriage into the balcony for the major at the balcony to watch the horse guards parade, back into the carriage, and maybe people saw her by the balcony appearance, but again these were little glimpse of her. So for this event actually was the real opportunity for people to have a great look at how she is, how stunning she's coping with her treatment. And I think she's really doing well. What do you think of her appearance?
Oh, I think she is doing very well, and I
Mm,
think Kate Mansi from the Times, she wrote an article and she calls it a return to public life. And
mm,
I think it does signal that. I
mm,
do think it's a signal, but it will be very measured. See,
mm,
I thought she looked fabulous. Oh, darling, she looked amazing at the Trooping of the Colour,
mhm,
but she looked a bit vulnerable and a bit frail. But
mhm.
none of that was there at
This time.
Wimbledon.
Mm, mm.
No, and I think Kate Mansi might be right. That's what I was reading. That's what kept me late. But I thought, no, I wondered. I was going to ask you what your thoughts were about that. Do you anticipate seeing more of her?
I think this is the beginning of us starting to see her come out, more often now. They want to bring her back in small little phases and not throwing her into the deep end.
Mm,
So spaces of around maybe 2 months, a month, okay,
mm,
before she can step out again. And remember, in that statement, she said that during these days of her going through her treatment, she's having the good days, the bad
Yes.
days, and she tries and makes the most of the good days by,
Mm,
engaging
mm,
in activities with her children, maybe stepping out like we saw her. So this stepping out recently, I think, fell on one of those good days because she appeared very, very comfortable, very relaxed, well rested. You could see her uh, coming back into those long conversations, the chit chats she usually has on
yes,
engagements with the
yes.
hosts, and she wasn't in any way, shape, or form in a rush to get away.
Mm,
um, and so
mm,
so she was back into the Catherine we usually knew before we got
mm,
that dreaded announcement. And
mm.
actually, looking at all the news headlines, none of the headlines I've been seeing here are not suggesting how beautiful, adorable, glowing, stunning she looked.
Oh,
Okay, so that's good because at least you would have one, newspaper or one news channel pick up on. Okay, we are not impressed with how she did and all that stuff, sort of thing. But it's good news everywhere, and that's a
mm.
good sign. So this appearance here, I think, is sending a strong message that we are going to start seeing our Catherine pop up more often. We have the Remembrance Sunday. If we are to talk about the upcoming events there, so we have the Remembrance Sunday in November, and then we
Okay,
have, but I think shortly that before that, I think we have a summer reunion for all the royals at
okay.
Balmoral.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
and here again we tend to see all of them gather, and have some bit of summer fun time. The young royals come and play together and all of that sort of thing. So I think she is very much going to be present at this one. Okay, sources are telling us so she will be at Balmoral with the rest of the royals, and surely we will catch a glimpse of at least her arriving or the royals arriving, and she will be there. But most certainly, I think she will show up for that November Remembrance Sunday, where they stand on the balcony, you know, uh,
Well, the thing
and
is,
at the
everyone
cenotaph.
loves. Well, she's
Mm,
come back.
mm,
Everyone
mm,
loves a comeback.
mm, mm, mm.
Everyone loves a comeback. We're in July, and the whales are coming back. They've had
Yeah,
a really awful year, and
mm,
and now we're in the second half of the game, and they're kicking goals.
it
It's
is.
just,
And
yeah,
as
yeah,
bad as it sounds, it's actually better that this whole thing happened in the early beginnings of the year,
yes,
because most of these festive and big royal appearances tend to happen later on in the year. So we have the cenotaph,
okay,
Remembrance Sunday appearances. We have the Christmas carol service, and these are periods that Catherine, embraces and inspires the world through her Christmas carols service. At I'm forgetting the cathedral, Westminster Abbey, and
yes, yes.
so this is good news for us that she is on the
Mm.
right mend, and that she's going to show up and even look more beautiful than she looked when we saw her this weekend gone. Fabulous, fabulous indeed. Thank you for my cup of tea. Where is your
Oh,
cup of tea,
where's
Catherine?
my cup of
Get your
tea,
cup of tea.
darling?
Oh, is it early morning? Get your cup of tea.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I live alone, but
Yeah.
yeah, my late husband used to bring me cups of tea. Darling, where's my cuppa?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it
So
is
we've
it is a
we've got
wonderful.
some we've got
Yes,
some
let's say hello.
incredible people. Let's say hello to our wonderful friends here. Stedman, a big wave from South Texas. Yes, this is the real team, isn't it? Michelle, hi from London. Hello, good to see you. Mendoza, she surely did. Thank you, Mendoza. Great to see you. Ida, Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us from Kenya. How is Nairobi? Uh, Catherine, who else have you seen there? Nicola? Okay.
Nicola, yes, she's from
Jackman,
Melbourne.
yeah,
I
yeah.
grew up in Melbourne. We're 10 pound poms, and we immigrated, and we landed in Melbourne. I was 7, and yeah, the weather. They say that they have 4 seasons in one day in Melbourne, and it's so true. Your winters would be colder than ours, so you can have that trophy.
Yeah. and, and and Nicola tells us it was lovely to see Charlotte,
Oh
at the
yes.
tennis, and how she was, composed and looked very adorable. They have trained these young ones to look like real royals. Did you notice?
Yes, I did. I thought it was watching. They come under a lot of criticism, but they're bringing their children out more now. But people were saying, oh, they were too precious, la la, whatever. You're always
Mm,
going to have your detractors. But we're seeing now that, see, Charlotte is very confident, and
mm,
George is starting to come, maybe because he's an introvert, maybe not out of his shell, but he's gaining poise.
mm,
He's growing in poise, and the way they're raising their children, and they're holding Louis back, which I think is very wise, because
mm,
because of his energy,
mm,
he'd exhaust himself very quickly. But
mm.
they're really stepping up and so protective of their mother. It's really just gorgeous.
It is. And it's
Mm.
good you've actually talked about Louis being left behind. Because we know whenever he
Yes,
turns up, the headlines want to be, oh, Louis did this, or he did that, or look at how we
yes,
did that. And sometimes some of those could be a bit overwhelming for a young one like Louis is. So
yes,
he doesn't want to be seen, every newspaper capturing images of him in this style, that bait, this posture, and all of that. But also Catherine herself, as we know, she's on the mend, and I think coming out with two children, especially with Louis, would exhaust
yes,
her. So it was the right thing to bring Charlotte with Catherine, and then George with the father. And George was
yes.
dressed in a nice tie, just like his father. And of course, I've been seeing criticisms. Oh, you're overdressing this young
Oh,
boy.
for crying out
Let him
loud.
be, and all of that.
He's
Uh,
with his dad. He wants to be like his dad.
he wants to be like his dad. They want
Yeah.
to raise him as a royal, well principled, well mannered, turning up in public,
Yes.
looking smart. Okay, there are days when they wear tracksuits and all of that sort of thing, but this was an event where they were going to be at some point standing on the podium, handing over trophies, and we've seen the King of Spain was at this event as well, and they were all dressed up in smart, shirt and tie and suit. So people forget that a royal child has to go through those same principles. It's the same way we used to see William and Harry being dressed up when they were still very little. Okay. So people will
Well,
always have something to say, but
mm,
I think George looked amazing, and the dad obviously got it right to wear that same tie
yes,
and
I
so.
agree. The thing is, they're being trained for a world that very, very few of us get a glimpse at. And the only reason we're able to do this today is because of social media. But before social media, they had their scandals, they had media intrusion, but to they were able to still live very, very privately. And I think that the Prince and Princess of Wales have got the balance right for this
Mm,
environment in which their children are growing up, because children don't, a lot of children are not being trained how to manage their social media,
mm,
but they're being trained in how to manage social media in a very public role. I mean,
mm,
and I think getting back to Louis, who we all adore, he's obviously very highly strung, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but he's got a lot of nervous energy,
mm,
and so of course they are going to help him train him to manage his own energy. But
mm,
I think he looks adorable in his tie. Oh, but I don't think you can ever be too overdressed. I love
mm,
clothes, but I love to see
mm,
children in the public space. Baron Trump is another one. He's an introvert and he's
mm,
got his mother's beauty,
mm,
but you can see he likes to just be, kept very quiet, but he
mm.
enjoys it when his father makes a fuss of him. You
Yeah,
know,
of course. Yeah.
these children are growing up very, very differently. So
The,
who are we to judge? Who are we to tear apart the way their parents are parenting them?
exactly. And we know Catherine herself, as a wonderful mother, she would, of
Mm,
course, think twice about what her children are going to be turning up wearing. She herself, is an icon of fashion. We know that. So she would be very happy with how they are turning up. And when parents are happy, who are we to judge, like you said? So we have in the comments here, Mendoza says, Catherine plays a piano right around Christmas. Yes, yes, she does.
yes,
She gave us a surprise the other day, didn't she? Everybody didn't,
yes.
the people were not expecting that. And then she pops up like what we said the other day that just when we think we know everything about Catherine, she turns up with something we didn't know. So we still
Mm,
have a lot
mm,
to learn about this lady,
mm,
pretty much
mm.
like Queen Elizabeth was, isn't it? you know
Yes.
she was very unpredictable, and every time we had something to learn of how incredible she was. As parents say, the children, whether dresses casually or fancy, are always
Yes.
impeccably dressed. And I agree with that,
Oh,
definitely.
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
Ida here,
beautiful.
Ida is a fan of George, and she says George looked so smart, and I love seeing him. Of course you do, Ida. George. How adorable. George has her George has his army of fans out there. These young warriors,
Yes.
I tell you, each
Yes.
one of them has an army of followers. And
Yes. Yes.
hello, Lisa. Great to see you. Thank you for joining in. Thank you guys for those wonderful comments. Keep them coming and share any thoughts you might have regarding Catherine, Princess of Wales' recent appearance. Do you think she looked
Hi,
amazing?
Lisa.
Hmm. Hmm.
Lisa's just tuned in. Hi there.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
it's it's let's talk about the way they are raising these children compared to how Meghan and Harry are raising theirs. Okay, so Archie and Lilibet. So these are children that nobody knows how they look like. Uh, they tend to appear in little, energy,
Yes.
pop little pop-ups here and there,
Mm,
sometimes with
mm,
with no real, you know,
mm,
facial appearance put onto their appearances. We see the
mm,
same
mm.
photographs being showed to us, whether it's their birthday or whatever. So we don't see a transition of how they are growing, the lives they are leading. It's sort of a caged raising of their kids where they've locked them away from the rest of the world. And we are having Catherine, Princess of Wales, here, and Prince William raising theirs in the limelight. So we see their children every day. We are able to see them attend events like we've seen them do. When it's school time, we see them being taken to school. Catherine turned up with Princess Charlotte. We saw George. Louis is always out and about. So we see them. We are following up on the progress of the children, and many people are able to relate with what raising children looks like, and they are able to see this normal family enjoying normal events like everyone else does it out there. And we don't see this with Meghan and Prince Harry. And why then would Meghan and Harry blame people when they criticize them for not allowing their children to grow as normal children? What are your thoughts about this hiding of children away from people and not letting the world see the growth and the development of children who are supposed to be royals? Okay,
Well,
like their cousins here.
it's a good question because, as I mentioned at the opening of our live, uh, the trending topics in the last few days, for the first time in living memory, I have to use some drama, but Harry and Meghan were not trending okay, and it occurred to me, and I'm sure I'm I'm not the only one who's had this thought that what are they going to do to try and break through because Richard
Hmm.
Fitzsimmons warned them that they've got nowhere to go because they've got no projects. So what have they got left? The children. The children are all they have left.
Hmm.
And how are they going to break through all this noise with Catherine and William dominating the headlines? And now the king and the queen were at an event yesterday, and they were removed suddenly. There was some security threat, and then the attempted assassination. So there's a lot going on. How
Hmm.
are they going to break through? Now, if I look at, you know, I think it's good to go back to the beginning with William and Harry. I
Hmm.
think look at how Diana raised her
Raised.
children, and I think William is has learned from some of his mother's
Hmm.
lessons,
Hmm.
and I think that um, Lady Glenconnan said recently that Harry was born angry,
Hmm. Hmm.
and she was quite close to the royal household. And so it really gives you some idea of how they're parenting. Harry, has been deceived into believing that, the world is against him, the world is against his children if they exist at all. But if we are going to see any movement in the PR war, which Harry and particularly Meghan are waging, we will see their children undoubtedly within the next week because
Hmm.
it's all they've got left. It's
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
they have.
Hmm.
So I see, to sum up my thoughts, I see that William has learned from some of his mother's lessons, and he has also learned from his grandmother, his chief, his commander, because when she saw he was going astray in his teens, she took him aside every Sunday and had
Hmm.
lunch with him.
Hmm.
So he's listened to his grandmother, and he said when he was very young, "Oh, I don't want to be king." Of course, he didn't want to be at that age. George probably
Hmm.
feels the same, but
Hmm.
I think he's learned. Now, that's not to suggest they're not going to make mistakes, but
Hmm.
they're very aware of what's at stake.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And the future of the monarchy is at stake, whereas Harry has squandered his position as a spare because
Hmm.
look at the Princess Royal, what she has done with that role.
Hmm.
She's
She's executed
magnificent.
it. Yeah. Yeah. She's
She's
she's done
magnificent.
perfectly. She has
And
supported her brother.
yes, and
Okay.
she's a marvelous mother.
She
Look
is.
at her children.
Absolutely. She's got, and her children, although they are not, doing any royal duties and all of that sort of
Yeah.
thing, but we see them on a daily basis. She has sort of given them, bestowed their future.
Mm.
She's always kept them very close to the royal family. And I tell you what, we might get to see Zara in a role of some sort in the next coming
Yes.
few years. I think we will, but it's just because of the supportive role of Princess Anne, to her father. She's very loyal, and I know she's held interviews talking about how the monarchy is slimmed down, and whether that's good or bad, given her thoughts. But you can
Mm.
still see that she was supporting her father in all
Yes.
the plans and the strategies, and the way forward of the royal family. And just like you said, she utilized that being a spare in a very positive way and in a supportive
Yes.
way, something that Prince Harry hasn't done. Uh, I think Prince Harry has sort of victimized himself, and by victimizing himself, he transfers that onto his own children and taking them away, making them feel like they are not wanted or loved by their family here, the royal family, because I think that's what is going on. Why isn't he bringing them across for the Christmas gatherings, Balmoral
Well,
summer events?
I mean, do
Why?
they think people don't notice?
Yeah, why? What is it? What is stopping him from doing that? He fell
Oh, I
out.
know.
He fell out
Yeah.
with the
Well,
royal family, but he shouldn't deny the kids that opportunity of growing up knowing their roots, their cousins, you know, because these are the people who are going to support these young ones when Meghan, Prince Harry, are no longer here for some reason or whatever, because these young ones are the next generation. Okay. So when their time comes, they need to be able to, okay, have got their share in the royal family. They are well known. The king, George, Charlotte, they know them and they can sort of mix up properly. They can give them roles of some sort and that sort of thing. But Prince Harry decides that no, our children are going to go away with us. They won't be brought back into the UK. They've denied them the opportunity of knowing their grandfather. Okay, so it is really sad. And this poses the question as to whether those kids are actually theirs, because
look,
there seems to
I
be
mean,
a phrase
how
that
long
that
can you keep your
stops them
children in the
from.
attic?
uh, it's as if there is a phrase that somewhere that say we've given you those kids, but you can't show them to the world because they are not yours. The
I
contract
mean,
we have in place is keep them away from the public because they are not yours.
there's just something completely ludicrous about this scenario. I shake my head in disbelief because I I I think Harry, you're a public figure. You live in the public life. You criticize the media, but you live by the media. And he who lives by the sword will die by the sword. And Lady Colin Campbell's update of her book has put this on the front burner now. It was in the back burner because the UK media is too afraid to touch it
Mm,
because they're so litigious. But they're not a bottomless pit. Their money is running out,
mm,
and everything is working against them now. They've got all they've got left are the children, and I can't believe that any sane, and I choose that word, any sane person believes that keeping children hidden and denying them access to their heritage is a viable PR strategy.
It's
Uh,
not.
No,
It is not at all. I know they said we don't want our kids to grow up in the limelight. We want to give them a good upbringing. We don't. But it's different when you take your kids away from. Nobody says throw these kids in the limelight every day. You know,
no,
make them wear
no.
all these fancy outfits and make them stand on the red carpet and have their photographs taken. Nobody is saying that. What we are saying is there are these family royal appearances, the gatherings like Barumoro here, over
Mm,
Christmas. So we see all the young royals and families met up, okay? This is chance for the royals to unite, to spend some family moments out of this glitter and all of that.
yes.
And this would be the perfect opportunity for these two, Lilibet and Archie, to turn up. Okay. But they don't bring them simply because Meghan herself knows her position in the royal family. She knows how she is not liked in the UK because of what she has done. It is
Mm,
again to their own making. And they are now using their mistakes, okay, their victimization and all those they are using their unpopularity to deny the kids the opportunity to come and have their they are mixing up with the rest of their cousins here. So
yeah.
again, I think this comes to the fact that I think there is nobody advising these two, or whether they choose not to take advice, but no parent that is understanding can take away children away from their grandparents. I have my kids, okay, and I would always dread it if they can't see their grandmother or grandfather, okay, regardless of how or what sort of relationship I have. The kids, I think it's a real blessing for them to see their grandparents because when they die, these are the questions they will be always asking. How did my grandfather, grandmother look? Those roots. And King Charles, of course, we know these. To someone asked a very good question here. I think it was Aspe. She said the children are not seen and they are still in the line of succession. Absolutely. If those kids are in the line of succession, surely they should be mixing up with the rest of the royals. They should
Mm,
be seen, they should be visible. Okay, this is the only way the world, the monarchy is going to be able to account for every single person who is in that line of succession.
mm,
These are not
mm.
visible. So it is befitting that they get taken out of that line of succession. After all, if they can't bring them here to be counted, you know, by
Well,
the monarch.
it calls. It
Okay.
calls. A lot of people say um, they should have a welfare check. Okay, I don't disagree with that.
Mm,
There should be a check on those kids, see if they're okay. They're, it's like Angela's ashes. They're hidden away in some attic. But think about it. How is any organization or state organ going to be able to conduct a welfare check on a king's grandchildren?
mhm,
It's not going to happen because they're expecting them to do that. They're
mm,
the American child welfare agencies are not in a position to do that because they're supposedly the grandchildren of the king, who is one of America's major allies.
mm.
So it's really falls to the royal household to sort this out.
To sort that
No one
out.
else, no one else can sort this out. It really is down to the royal household. Now, I've heard it said that they've got their own human rights and no one can intrude, blah, de, blah, de, blah. I'm not buying that. I think that is lazy logic. I
mm,
think that the royal family moves with stealth. They
mm.
do things slowly. They
Mm.
don't want to rock the boat. They're very aware of Prince Harry's mental
Mental
well-being.
state, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
so they're not going to overstep. They're not going to come in with jack boots, you know.
no.
They're not going to do that. But this is weeping sore for the royal family. But in terms of their parenting, come on, what about that audience at the ESPYs? They were looked.
Mm,
A lot of people were giving them the side eye.
mm,
Venus Williams, for example, but even her agent with the white
mm,
hair sitting behind, she was giving her client the side eye.
mm,
People ask questions, and she can never take her hand off Harry. She's desperately trying to keep him under control. Can you imagine what kind of a mother she is as a
mm,
narcissist?
mm,
She and she never shares the limelight with anyone.
mm,
So who would want that for a mother, you know?
mm,
So whereas Catherine, oh, look at the way she is with her daughter. She strokes her hair. When they were walking into the stadium, um, Prince William gave Prince George a reassuring pat on, you know, a stroke on the back. They're such
mm.
beautiful parents.
They are, and you can see them
So
sharing those good moments and the joy. They are jumping up at, when we scored that first goal, and you could see George and William pretty much jumping and nearly falling off their seats. And so you can see a child who's very happy around her parent, I mean his dad. These are signs we pick up on, um, how parents are good around
yes,
their children, how they are, how the family is happy overall. We don't see this with the Megans and Harrys simply because we are not actually seeing these children at all, not even how they behave around their parents in public. None of that. Everything is just filmed. I think the only time they show those children is when they are going to make money, like when we saw
yes,
them the, in Netflix with their documentary showing them around. We could just see back images of the kids running away from the camera. And okay, so it's more like they are looking at maybe monetizing these kids' appearances in the near future, which is very, very sad.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yeah,
And
yeah,
somebody here makes a good point is that Lisa says Prince William saying as a boy that he didn't want to be king like a child,
yes,
saying the vegetables, but you grow up and find veggies and being king are delightful. Okay. So Lisa there, of course, is one of those royalists who's been following up on these messages. It's good
mm,
to see that you
mm,
guys share some of these little insights,
mm.
and we enjoy them. So I definitely agree. And so we've got Cornish Fudge. Hi, thank you for showing up. Anybody else you're seeing there? Catherine?
Yes,
Is it
Fiona,
Fiona?
yeah,
Glenn?
Fiona,
Okay.
Colin,
She asks us a
she asks,
question. Yeah.
yeah, do you think that there are actually any children?
Children. Mm.
Oh,
Same question
I,
everybody asks, isn't it?
I think there's an Archie.
Mm.
I do think, I don't believe he was born of the body. Uh, I think there is an Archie, but there's a big question over the second child,
Mm.
Lilibet. And there's all sorts of rumors on the internet, which, unless it's verified, you can't take too seriously. But they're not going away. This is, I mean, what is it they say? It's only a conspiracy theory until everyone discovers it's true.
Mm.
So a lot of conspiracy theories in the end turn out to have been, you know, the truth rumbling along, trying to be heard.
Mm.
So to answer your question, I do think there is an Archie, but I doubt there is a second child because the rumors allegedly is that the mother, the surrogate, changed her mind. And there's all sorts of questions over the availability or the public nature of her birth certificate. People who've tried to get it say that there isn't one,
There
but
isn't
there
one.
was no, but there was a child born at that time.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
so I don't know. I mean, but I do think there's an Archie. But how, like, remember this. I can't recall the event. It was in the early days. I think she was preggers, and they were in a little hall, and Harry joked. He
Hmm.
joked, and he
Hmm.
said, "Oh, is it even mine?"
Hmm.
He actually
Hmm.
joked.
Hmm.
So he must have some questions around his
Yeah, because
sterility.
there are some jokes you can't just
You can't throw
there are
that
things
out
you can't
in
joke
public.
about. Yeah, in
You can't
public.
pull that back.
Mm, mm, mm,
And this is his beloved wife, and
mm,
he's saying this. So I think that needs to be noted. He said
mm,
that.
mm, mm.
So
There's a
whether it's
lot of
Harry's or not,
controversy surrounding these kids, and you're very right. To say that Archie, um, elements of Archie could be there. But the other second one, very, very big controversies, especially as
yes,
she wasn't even born here. She was in the
that's right.
United States behind the doors. At first, we heard she was going to be born in the hospital and then born at home. So even the medium of birth was very controversial. But the other interesting thing about these controversial things happening around their children is that Meghan, Prince Harry themselves have failed constantly to address these issues. Okay, the questions about the birth certificates are never answered. Those kids are not seen in public. It's more like there are certain things that have been documented in the contracts that these kids can't go out of the US. You can't take them this far away from here. You can't show them yet as your whole children. So all of these things are causing people to ask those questions. We know Meghan Markle she loves to sort of take the limelight. She likes to seize opportunities and all of that sort of thing. But to say that she didn't want her photograph taken of her coming out of hospital carrying Archie,
Yeah,
like we see, the Princess Diana, Catherine do. I mean, who is
no,
Megan to refuse that opportunity? She would take it with both hands because the cameras
yeah,
would be on her. But she
yeah,
didn't. So again, that is also posing questions as to whether she actually is the one who gave birth to that Archie. And we know that was it um I tend to forget his name. He says the other day that Megan, I mean, they presented Archie when he was already teething, and they presented him to us.
oh,
You know, he was already teething.
oh, it was
I
Arthur
forget.
Edwards, the royal
Yes.
photographer. Oh,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
hysterical. He said, "Oh, Harry and Meghan's baby was teething by the time we got around to seeing it." I
Yeah,
mean, he's using an exaggeration to
yeah,
say
yeah.
we're waiting hours, and it never happens.
It never
Never
happened. So,
happens. Those royals can't wait to show their
so
babies.
yeah, so exactly. So, what was holding them from? Okay, so were there things behind the scenes that were not going right that they had to put right, and
Yeah,
documentation signed and all of that sort of thing. So there is so much controversy surrounding these children, which doesn't help at all, especially when they are in the line of succession. People want those who are sitting in the line of succession to be real royals, to be well accounted for, how they arrived, the means they were born. They want transparency as much as you know possible. If you're going to be on that line of succession, people have the right to know, okay, your state of birth, your father, your mother, are you hailing from real royal roots? Just like we see the princess aunts, look at all the kids, the royal family uh, children, and those in the line of succession. Every single one of them, their birth certificates are out there. They know their means of birth. They were presented to the world in the rightful way. They've been following up on their growth right until today. All the Prince Andrews, everybody on that line of succession, except Archie um,
Yes.
and Meghan. There is a, I'm sorry, and Lilibet.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we hear the Queen was very upset when they used Lilibet for this
Oh,
child. So
yeah.
really, the
Yeah.
Queen would have actually been happy with that. Granddaughter, grandchild is back. I'm happy with that. But the fact that she
Yeah.
wasn't happy that they even used Lilibet when a child she didn't know or have an actual understanding of how they came to be formed. Okay, and we will never see that photograph of the Queen and Lilibet. Remember when they came here? Um,
I
they
do.
brought
Yeah.
Lilibet, and apparently there was a photo taken, but Queen Elizabeth said never show that photo to the public. Why would she have said that? Simply because this child, I think, is not there. Okay, so there is
Well,
a lot.
how long
There is a
did you
lot of
do?
controversy,
Yeah.
and
How,
it is a shame, really, really big shame to see these things happening
mm,
because, again, this feeds in into how this is denying or going to deny these children their rightful heritage. Okay, and how, again, in the future, we cannot blame, for example, William if he takes over when he decides to strip them out of the line of succession. Okay, so it's very interesting. It's a story that
it's
is
not
always
going
going to be.
away.
It won't go away until Meghan and Harry themselves provide those answers.
Well, I think what they've done is they've overreached in this regard. And Megan thinks she can go on American TV with, one of the most visible hosts in Oprah and slander the royal family without repercussions. And she believes that she can do anything. She can get away with anything. She's got no boundaries.
Mm,
And for her to think, for her to it tells you really that the woman really is mentally
mm,
unstable to pull off a grift like this that the American public are not going to question. I mean, who doesn't want their children to participate in royal life unless you're just some really arch awful anti-monarchist, unless you're like that. But who wouldn't want their children to have access to all the privilege and the benefits and the wonder of that lifestyle? And I mean, it can be quite boring as well when you start becoming a working royal, but
mm,
to be raised a royal, the privilege of that. Does Meghan not think that the American public, and particularly in the circles that she's moving in, are not questioning this? She
mm.
just thinks she's so in a world of her own
Into
head here.
herself, yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
could say.
she really
You
is
could
in
say.
love with herself. She
Mm-hmm.
really, really is. But she's so involved in this space between her own two ears that she really can't see that the American public might be starting to ask questions.
They
Look,
will
I'll tell
be.
you, yesterday I was working I volunteer in this local food bank, and I couldn't help myself. We were packing up the bananas,
Mm.
and there's a guy there, and he likes anything in a skirt, and he flirts with anything in his. He flirts with me, and he's 20 years younger than me. That's how bad it is. So I said to them, everyone's around. We're all at the table, and we're packing up the bananas,
Mm.
and you know where I'm going with this. And I
Yeah.
said, oh, I said I don't know if anyone would be remember this. I said, but I'm talking like no one knows who I'm talking about. I said, that girl, Meghan Markle. I said, her and her, oh, they go, so this guy, he goes,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I loved her in suits. No one can wear a skirt. No one can wear a skirt like Rachel Zane. And I said, says the one who goes after anything in a skirt.
Art,
And
yeah.
all the women at the table are groaning. And I said, they go to this women's refuge, and a lot of the women in this refuge
Mm.
are former street workers, right? They're
Mm.
former sex
Sex
workers.
workers, yeah.
And Megan, she goes, oh, I've got this really good idea. And I get out the banana
Mm.
and I start writing. I said, oh, I've got this really good idea. I said, you are beautiful. You are loved, princess. And I said, and then the photos were taken
Yeah.
next to a muffin with butterflies, and the women are roaring. And he goes, oh, I think Megan's wonderful. I said, just go to the back of the queue. But all the women, they all started. They go, what do you think of her baby bump? I said, don't
Mm-hmm.
get me started.
Started,
Like,
okay.
I'd started the conversation, right? But that was the first thing they asked. What did you think of those? And even he said, who liked Rachel Zane in a skirt, even he said, oh, yeah, but they were moving about really weird, weren't they? There was
No,
about a
that's
dozen of us. I thought to myself, oh, this is a party trick. I'm going to use this party trick in future.
yeah. And Prince Harry liked Meghan in the suits, skirt as well, because
Yeah,
this was really the driving force behind how, Prince Harry met. He loved her playing Rachel Zane in suits. So there is a bit of that sort of coming from a position of lust and that sort of
yeah,
thing. And we know how problematic that can be. And
yeah,
if then people pose the question, that is that lust still there? Okay. But it is very important to note that with how they are treating themselves and the
mm,
publicity, the negativity around
mm,
themselves, the controversies they are carrying everywhere, these things are going to affect those children growing up. Okay. So
yes,
the advice I would give to them is to try right now, when it's not too late, to start sort of leveling up the ground for their kids. Bring them out,
yeah,
become more transparent, prove to the world that these kids are theirs. And this has to start from doing the basic things like taking them to see their grandparents. Megan's father, who is literally there, he has never seen those kids. Okay. So start from small steps like that. Take those kids to see their grandfather. I mean, who on earth would deny their father from seeing the grandchildren? Okay, what did Megan's dad do to her that she can't take those kids to him? He's in the hospital. He was there the other day crying out loud, asking King Charles here to plead with Prince Harry to ask Meghan to take those kids to see Meghan's father in the hospital where he was. So big, big questions here being raised. If they can't even take those kids to see, Marco, what's his name? Thomas
Thomas
Marco.
Thomas Markle
If they
Senior.
can't,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, okay. he's done nothing at all. Okay, so he would see those kids, but even him is crying out loud to see those kids. So
Well,
it is.
I consider it elder abuse unless there's a legitimate reason, like unless the grandparent is a serial killer or a fraudster, Bernie Madoff or something, and you don't want them to come under that. Unless that is the case, I consider it. I actually do consider it elder abuse when
Mm,
um, parents use grandchildren to punish and beat up the grandparents.
mm. Lisa talks about Prince Harry's disrespect by accepting the
Yes.
Party Man Award. Oh dear, that is
Mm,
that
mm,
one there. Everybody,
mm.
75,000 people. I think by
Yep.
the time Prince Harry was given that award, the number had gone up to around 80. Apparently, people who were insisting Harry shouldn't receive that award, and he went ahead and accepted it. It just goes to show the sort of people they are and how he's not going to listen to other people and advise.
Mm, mm.
And Lisa again says, can you read it from your side?
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, I'm happy to actually because
Uh,
I watched Suits as well.
mm,
But I didn't like the character Rachel. Suits
mm,
was a show, she says,
mm,
that came on TV on Saturday afternoon. Well, there it goes. I mean, you're
mm,
competing with sports events on Saturday afternoon, so it
mm,
wasn't even, it was just in the B-roll. And I used to have it on when I was preparing for Sunday dinner, and it wasn't even on prime time when it was on air. That I know. I was I, when I would. Not that I ever illegally downloaded anything, but
hey, yeah.
back in the day, I did watch it. But and this was before anyone knew who she was. I couldn't stand it. Oh, I thought this actress is terrible. She's just playing herself, and. But and another woman from she's Chinese from the food bank. She said the same. She said, "Oh, I used to watch Suits." She said, "I couldn't stand her then," and I'd think,
Mm.
"See, fist bump, fist bump." Uh, you know,
But here in the
so
UK,
fist bump, Lisa.
here in the UK, I mean, I could say that a significant amount of people didn't know who Meghan Markle was until she actually married Prince Harry. Okay, because
No, she was
the,
nobody.
the Suits was never aired here in the way of the program coming on telly unless people were subscribed to Netflix or whatever. So she would not have been in people's thoughts in any way, shape, or form. They didn't know her. So actually, Meghan Markle's real breakthrough was marrying Prince Harry. That's when people started actually knowing Meghan. And that's why they welcomed her here. They were very happy. They thought Prince Harry had found the perfect bride, and because had they known she was from Suits and the character she was playing, and all these controversies surrounding her ex, what's his name? Engels. What's Meghan Markle's ex? Is it
Oh,
Engels? Is
Trevor.
it
I think
Trevor?
it's Trevor Engels. It might be. I can't. I'm
Oh,
not clear on his surname, but it's Trevor. She still
absolutely.
wears, and a lot
Okay.
of people make much of the fact she's still wearing his bracelet that he
Mm-hmm.
gave her. I think
Okay.
that's just. I think that's a poke
Okay.
at Harry,
Okay.
to
Yeah.
keep him under control.
Yeah. So people didn't really know who she was.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so she got where she is because of Prince Harry. And that's why she's actually holding on to him, like, because she knows if that relationship breaks, she's going to struggle to break through because she was already struggling. Okay. But
It's Trevor Engelson.
okay, Trevor Anderson.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathy. There.
Thanks.
Hi, Kathy. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. We have
Yeah.
a very, very informed audience here. By the way, I must appreciate. And
Well, of
wherever you're
course, they're
watching us
following
from,
you.
yeah, thank you
They're
so much
following
for
you, of
following us.
course. Of course, they're
Yeah.
informed.
We will make sure to drop Catherine's YouTube channel in the description when we come off, my dear friends. If you're not yet subscribed to our channel, Catherine, your channel is Arroyo Iota.
That's
Okay.
correct. It's
Yes.
one word, and
Yes.
it's a royal iota, as in tiny corner of the internet. Yeah,
Please.
I like it actually because it has like the royal rota,
Hmm.
and yeah, so I just figure, oh, I'm going to compete with the royal rota. I'll be the royal iota, but
Yeah.
never underestimate the power of a mustard seed. Faith is
Oh,
as a
yes.
mustard seed. Never underestimate those iotas.
Yes. Please head over and
Yeah,
subscribe to
thank
her
you.
channel. She's so wonderful. You've got a TikTok as well, isn't it? Same name.
I do.
Hmm.
I do. I mean, I post mainly on uh, TikTok, which I
Hmm.
actually do like TikTok. I post on, I
Twitter.
haven't used, yeah, I post on, occasionally on Twitter, but I use it as a feed, like the old-fashioned RSS feeds. I use
Hmm.
it like that. So,
Hmm.
but I am there, and I'm also on Instagram, but I haven't posted anything on Instagram in a while. To
Hmm.
YouTube and TikTok, but
TikTok. Yeah.
that that's where I found you because
Yeah.
I really loved your content. I thought that your humanity, your humanity was really important to me because it's so easy to get down on people. But, what are we going to do if Harry ever begs for a second chance? I mean, it's a very real possibility he'll get down on his knees and beg his father, I've sinned against you and, against my brother and my mother. And, there's a very real possibility. And I think that humanity, when you're talking about subjects like this, is very important, you know.
Yes.
Although I can't stand Alec Baldwin, but still.
He has Prince Harry. There's only one.
Prince,
There's only one
he,
thing Prince Harry can do.
he
Okay,
can do it.
to come back into the royal fold, and not as a working royal, but as to be forgiven and sort of start to be welcomed in some way back to the royal family. And that is after apologizing. He needs
Yes,
to, because at the
he
moment,
can
Prince
do
Harry,
it.
yeah, at the moment, Prince Harry still thinks it is the royal family that needs to apologize to him and his wife for the mistreatment. They still think that they were not treated rightfully. Okay. Um, but Prince Harry doesn't know that actually he was just manipulated by
Mm,
his wife to think that they were treated awfully. Okay, that they were not treated
yeah.
well. So she made him believe that, oh, they don't love you, they don't love us. Why are they treating us like that? Rolling out the red carpet for Catherine, for William, and not us. Come on, uh, in the 21st century, this shouldn't be happening. And so she must have fed him with a lot of trash that, Prince Harry just thought that he wasn't loved by his family, and what led
Mm,
to those
mm,
events, I mean, what happened next was them, Prince Harry leaving. But Prince Harry
mm.
loved royal work so much. He really
Well,
did.
it shows in his earlier work. You can
Hmm.
see he
Hmm.
loved it, and he was cheeky, and people loved that about him. People like authenticity. They don't need to have you all. There's a photo of Prince Charles on that I saw on Twitter, and he's looking up, and the rain was coming down, and it's actually quite beautiful, and he's looking up at the sky, but he looks like a very, very grateful person. And someone made the comment, "Oh, it's not a very flattering photo, but it just seems to capture a moment of gratitude and and wonder in life, you know. So what I'm saying is we don't need people to be manicured within an inch of their lives. When you see that
mm,
and it's someone captures it on a photo or in a video, when it's captured, you just see it. And
mm,
Harry had that. Harry had it. He had
mm,
that
mm.
ingredient. But I think you see, you see that William took his time. You know, everyone got to know who Catherine was, and he had to rush it. They rushed it. They rushed it. Uh, you know,
And they
it's
rushed it, and I
just,
think
yeah,
part of the
yeah, it's
rushing,
sad.
very sad, and I think part of the rushing, I know I'm thinking like this because with how we see Megan now
Yeah,
and her sort of um, and her sort of what is it? What's the word? The right word I was gonna say. She's so possessed with
yes,
power and fame and wealth and all of that sort of thing. And she always wanted to marry a prince, a rich
yeah,
man. I mean, she said all these
mm,
things to her
mm,
friends.
mm,
Someone came out the other day and said these were the conversations Meghan Markle used to share with her good friends. She was looking for that prince, and if only she would fall into the hands of. Of course, she researched around William and Harry, and
mm, mm,
Harry was a single man at that time, and she wanted to sort of get Prince Harry and get that fame and wealth. She succeeded in doing that. They met on Instagram, so definitely there must have been some behind the
yeah,
work sending of DMs constantly,
mm,
to Prince Harry via Instagram. And I mean, she was Rachel Zane, he was already watching Suits. So, if she sent that text of hi to initiate those conversations, I'm quite sure Harry latched onto those DMs, and somewhere, somehow, these two met. So there must have been a lot of DMing behind the scenes, a lot of it coming from Meghan Markle, I think. So when she comes in here, she wants to rush those things before Harry changes his mind. Okay, so, so I'm thinking that's why we saw
yeah,
these events happening very quickly, from meeting her within 6-7 weeks to flying on holiday in Canada to doing all of that. And I'm quite sure behind the scenes there was a lot of putting Harry on pressure, wedding, announce this, announce that. And with Prince Harry's mentality and getting so excited about things, and he could have now said yes, let's go ahead and do that. And when you look at how um, he tells us that his brother William asked the question to Harry, how long have you known her before you go ahead to make such big steps? And how William actually advised Harry to take things slow and take time first, get to know who this woman really is before you rush into anything. And how I think Harry relayed that back to Meghan. Say, my brother says, I need to do
mm,
this and that. And probably that's where we also see Meghan Markle not getting on very well with William, because she thinks William was advising Harry not to take her in. And okay, so you can see that this whole thing was a mess. It was rushed. It was, so when these problems start coming up, really, we are looking at them from an angle of a relationship which developed very quickly without any
yes.
thoughtfulness being put into these decisions before they took place, and
Do
that
you
sort of
think
thing.
that Do you think that the breakup with Chelsea Davy played into his insecurity because she was the one that bolted? Because Well, she said later, she's known to have said later, he saw paparazzi behind every bush. He was very paranoid. And I think she possibly saw that, as well as the life of living in a fishbowl, wasn't for her. So
mm,
when Meghan came along, do you think Harry was, because he blamed the paparazzi in court for the breakup? He couldn't take
mm,
any responsibility
mm,
himself, but he brought
mm,
it up in court.
mm,
And um, so just this occurred to me while I was listening to you. I thought, I wonder if that, because he still won't take responsibility for his own actions and his own behaviour, because he's always been volatile. So what
mm, mm.
decent?
He
She's a
would.
pretty decent girl,
Oh,
Chelsea Davy.
Chelsea, she was very, very educated. She comes from a
Yeah.
very good family that also would have wanted to take things slow, get to understand the family is getting to know themselves properly, and she was actually playing the catch me if you can sort of game, the
Yes.
sort of thing we men enjoy, going through,
Of course.
especially when you're pursuing someone you really like. Okay, so she was doing all the right things, and these are the same sort of things we see Catherine, did with husband Prince William, and when these two eventually got together, it's a match made in heaven.
Mm.
Okay, but let's first look at these comments before we lose them. Okay, so good. Appreciate your life. Thank you so much, Martinez. Martinez, where are you from? Is that France? I think I'm guessing that's France. Lova Martinez. I see the flag there. Thank you so much for appreciating Pikachu. Victim mentality. I do agree. Michelle says they were never treated. His wife wanted things they just weren't entitled to. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm quite sure you would agree with that as well, Catherine.
Mm.
And
Mm.
Pikachu
Yeah.
said that is profitable. He was starting to follow his mother's footsteps, and then came. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, was there a moment when Prince Charles told William to slow down with Catherine, and he listened to his dad, Harry?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. You
He
see,
listened.
he listened very, very well. Thank you for highlighting that. I wanted the wedding rushed before the media started to look deeply. Absolutely. So you can see that.
Yes. Yeah, Michelle's hit the nail on the
You've
head
hit the
there.
nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. There
Yeah.
is a lot of rushing that was behind the scenes. And I think this must have come from Meghan Markle's side because she wanted, because during that time as well, she sort of blocked off all her friends and
Yes.
to try and sort of stop any information coming out about her real character. And the royal family, I think, should have, I still ask this question, they should have um, taken a bit more time to look into who Meghan was before she broke through into the royal family. But I suppose, again, it comes down to them not wanting to send Prince Harry's mental health through the roof because we know how already Prince Harry what wanted to get what he wanted. What he wants, he gets. If you stop him from getting, then there are real issues. So he wanted Megan at that time. He was so excited. Okay, so they just left him to be and say, right, okay, you face the music if things happen the way they do because of you not taking in our advice. But I still think if maybe Prince Harry was going to be king, okay, they wouldn't have let her get
No.
involved with this woman without prior checks. So a
You're
lot of
right.
it,
You're
a
right.
lot,
That's a very, very, very good point you make there. If he'd been an heir, there would have been a
yes,
very different approach.
it would have been
Because
different.
remember, Edward and Wallace Simpson,
Mm,
the reality is he was outplayed by the Prime Minister Baldwin and Churchill at the time. They wanted him gone. He
mm,
didn't have to go, but they wanted him gone because there was hints and signs that he was leaning towards he had sympathies towards the Nazis.
mm.
So they wanted him gone. And in the end, they got what they wanted. They outplayed him. Now, if Harry, this is such a good point you bring up, if he had been the heir, what it would have been a very different story.
Story.
They would have outmaneuvered Meghan.
They would have. Yes,
Yeah,
they
they would have
wouldn't let
outed everything. They would have
everything.
outed that so-called video, compromising video of her. It's still out there, but they cleaned the internet because he was a spare with mental health issues.
Mm, mm.
But imagine if he'd been the heir. Imagine it.
We would have been in a mess. What a mess this would have been, you know. Because can you imagine Meghan Markle as a queen consort? Ooh, can you imagine with all her character and how she, because we've now seen the true Meghan Markle. It came out. There's a lot of pretense in her, a lot of acting, and I mean, see how she acted out the Queen's courtesy in such mockery. Would she have done that? Would she still here in the royal family? Would she?
Mm,
She wouldn't. So when she left, we actually started seeing her real colors. Okay. Um, but it would have been a different story if
yeah,
Harry was
yeah.
the heir to the throne. There is no way they would have let him go Meghan Markle way. No chance. Okay.
But we come back to Princess Anne, though. What an amazing example of someone who carves out her own life, and she's a champion horsewoman. She supports
The
the
king.
line of succession. Yeah,
Yes.
she supports the king. She gave her children the opportunity to carve out careers for themselves. She didn't want them locked in. And like you said earlier in our broadcast, there's a real possibility Zara could be brought in because look how close her and William are.
Yeah.
She's so close to the next king.
She
She
is.
and it's real. It's not manufactured.
No, it's
It
real.
she really loves her cousin.
Yeah, she does. She turns up every year at the Balmoral summer events for the Royals, the Christmas. She's always there, and she's very supportive of Catherine, Princess of Wales, behind the scenes.
Yes,
And
yes.
her husband recently, is very close to uh, Prince William, and he's very close to Prince
Oh, he's
William's children.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. So
mm.
you can see that she's trusted because a lot of this thing comes with trust. So
Yes,
she's
yes.
now very trusted. Her husband is trusted to mix freely and trust them to not behave in a way that the royal family wouldn't allow. So
Mm,
it is very interesting because
mm,
again it
mm.
brings us back to Prince Harry and whether he can be allowed in the royal fold, even if he apologizes. I don't think he can.
I
To
don't
to
think so.
to an extent, maybe
Mm.
okay, being
Mm.
invited to the coronation ceremony, sorry, to the birthday parades, okay, some of those events, but it wouldn't be again appearing at the balcony alongside other royals because they can't trust him anymore that much, especially after Spare. Um,
What do you think of the
because
question that people are asking that the royals should remove Harry as the patron of Invictus? What are your thoughts about that
mm.
prospect because that's all he has left.
That's all he has left. And if they take that away from him, that will be Prince Harry finished. Finished completely. I'm sure his father would still want him to have something to hold
Yeah,
on to,
yeah.
especially as it's still his son. Okay, so King Charles will not be very harsh in that sense of literally stripping him of everything, even his bread, because that's his bread and wine for now. That that's what is giving Prince Harry some form of identity. If you take that away from him, it's finished. Okay.
Mm, mm.
So I think with that, he should keep. However, he should somewhere, somehow uh, remember that that was a gift from the royal family to him and
Yep.
learn to be grateful. Okay. That Invictus Games were first designed by, William, Catherine. The royal family were behind that project, and they handed that to Prince Harry because they were struggling to find a role for Harry per se. Okay, so that was fitting. As you see, William has his Earthshot projects. Catherine has
Yes.
his
Mm,
her alias projects, and they had this umbrella of the mental health under heads together. So then Prince
mm,
Harry was given that to sort of have some form of identity and something to keep him busy. So that he should keep. However, he should be grateful. He
mm,
shouldn't be
mm,
going about mourning on how they don't like him, they didn't do anything for him, they took care of
mm,
William and they
mm.
sort of abandoned him because they've actually done a lot for Prince Harry. Remember, he said his father didn't give him anything when he went to United States. And it so turned out that the king had given him how much? So 28 million,
It's
something like that.
really,
A lot of money.
uh,
But in those
it's
Oprah Winfrey interviews, they said
it's just a
they didn't give
blatant
me anything.
lie.
Okay. So there is that lacking element of gratefulness. And if only they can start being grateful now, a lot of things are going to change for the better. They will start to bring those kids back to see their grandparents here. Okay.
Well, well, it's ironic that he is so wounded. He
Mm,
himself is so wounded, and he's the figurehead of an organization that promotes wounded vets. But he
mm,
wasn't wounded. He wasn't wounded in war. He was,
mm,
wounded in many other ways which we know. So, like, I'm speaking about the death of his mother and the circumstances surrounding it. So, of course, that's had some impact on him. But I think it's a lot to ask of the king is to take that last thing away from him because I believe after the ESPYs, this is just my opinion. It's not going on anyone else's thoughts. It's just my observation of human behaviour that he's so rattled. Because
mm,
I looked at before we came to air, I looked at the numbers of that's still rolling. That um, petition is 77,000 now, over 77. He's so rattled by that, and um, I believe, according to some reports, there were a lot of tears behind the scenes. He can't believe this is happening now. When he was in the royal family, they cleaned up after him.
mm,
They
mm,
cleaned up all his messes. We
mm.
hardly ever got a glimpse unless they got a photograph of him falling down drunk coming out of a nightclub in his
And
teens. But
in Las
everyone just called him,
Vegas.
yeah, everyone called him Harry the lad.
Okay, maybe
Oh,
yeah, that.
he's our Harry, Harry the lad. So, but no one's cleaning up after him. No one
Mm.
is cleaning up this mess. He
So he's
has to
just
clean this up
clean up
himself.
himself. Yes, yes, absolutely. So we will see where this is all going to end. But Prince Harry now needs to start thinking very carefully about his next steps, his future, his
Yes.
children. He needs to start um, seeking ways in which he can start to repair relationships. Okay, with not okay, so we know Prince William is still very hurt with what Harry said. Catherine, they are still deeply hurt with
mm,
what
mm.
William said. And this is written everywhere, so we can read into these things. But his father, King Charles, has sort of left a tiny bit
Yeah,
of window open
yeah,
for
yeah,
Harry. And I think if Harry was a very wise man right now, he would take advantage of that window and try and seek ways. If means him kneeling down, coming, crawling on the floor, and begging constantly to see his father, to come and have those conversations, and maybe go through his father to repair relations with his
mm,
brother. Okay, he talked to my brother William on my behalf and say I was sorry for what I did. That these things
mm,
happened because I was in such a bad space. I was led to believe in the way I did, but I've since found out that actually most of what I was told wasn't right. By
mm.
that is then when we will start to see some sort of meaningful okay progress taking place in terms
Mm,
of how he starts to get back. But
mm.
even that will not be enough for him to get back in full swing, but at least it will provide a certain window of hope that in
Yeah,
future,
yeah,
that is what might help to get him bridge that gap between him and his brother. His brother
yeah.
is going to be very important in the next coming few
Yes,
years in the
yes.
survival of Prince Harry.
That's a very good point.
Okay, so he needs to
Yeah,
start cultivating that journey of
yeah.
repairing that relationship
Mm,
now through his
mm,
father, who has shown us that there is still a glimpse of chance
mm,
open
mm.
for him to come and say sorry. Right, so we are soon coming to the end of this. The battery here is down, but we're looking at the comments here. Someone asked, is that Lisa or Aspin says, do you guys think Harry and
Lisa.
Meghan will leave the US? So, what are your thoughts on that? Aspin asked whether Harry will leave the US and Meghan if Trump wins.
Oh, look, they'll talk about it. They'll say
Mm,
they're leaving. Uh, I think he will eventually go home broken. I
mm,
do believe that, but she'll never step foot unless she does with an event like she did last time and holes up in the Windsor suite in some swanky hotel and doesn't step foot out of the hotel. She's such a coward. That's what I can't stand about bullies. They're such cowards. They
mm,
can't face. Remember the way she couldn't look at Catherine
mm,
when they were looking at the flowers that were for the Queen when she passed.
mm.
But she won't step back foot in America in the UK. But Harry will. And you're right. You're right. He's going to need his brother, and
He's gonna need
and
his brother.
William is going to have to somehow manage it. He's going to have to deal with it because, in the end, the public will want to see William stepping up. But it
Take it
doesn't
up.
mean doesn't mean he has to take the viper into his chest.
Mm,
So he
mm.
doesn't have to embrace the viper, but he needs to manage it. So they're my thoughts. I love what Lisa says. She goes, "Oh, some people take up chess and bird watching,
He
but
took
he
up
took up
that.
drugs."
And he said that in his pair. And these things here, people are talking about them, and it's because Prince Harry, Meghan Markle bring these things upon themselves. He said these
Yeah,
things out there, open and
yeah,
loud,
yeah.
that he took that, marijuana, magic mushrooms, everything was written in there. Now, if you're going to seek for a private life, seek privacy, why then would you go and write things like this when you know that
Mm,
these are going to open up a can of worms for criticism?
mm.
Okay,
Oh, that
so
that book was a suicide note.
so you see where all this hypocrisy and and realness coming in when it comes to
And
these two. Okay,
Yeah,
so Lisa, there, you're very, very right. Very, very
yeah.
right. And Lisa again
Lily
says,
Page. Hi,
Hi,
Lily.
hi, Lily. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hi, yes, you've joined us very late, Lily. We are soon finishing. Thank you. Another
Yeah.
great fan of this
Oh, it
show.
was really cool.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we're
And
the
then
cool
Lisa says,
crowd.
yes. What does Lisa tell us in that last line there? Uh,
Lisa, she says he would have to drop his in-laws
so,
uh, suits,
which I doubt.
which I doubt the attorney would want him to do, and then publicly apologize to the nation, my nation, and his family. Oh, you are right
Absolutely.
on
Mm,
absolutely every one of those points. This is why I actually question. Um, I don't think there will be a divorce. I think there'll be a public separation, but she'll hold on to him. Look at the way she holds on to him now. You are so right. You're so right, Lisa.
yes, yeah, absolutely. And this someone just to come back on that question, I think that
Pikachu. Oh,
yeah, is that
Pikachu. Pikachu
how
from
a
Alaska.
baby we take advantage? Yeah, oh, no, it was a span. Okay, so he was saying if Meghan Harry will leave the US if Trump wins. So that's a big question. You answered that. It's
Yeah,
very
no.
big, but
But celebrities say that
Trump
all the
Trump
time.
Trump has made it clear that he will, if he wins the election, he will want to look into Prince Harry's visa application
Yes.
process. He made
Yeah.
that very clear, and we know
Yeah.
Trump is a fan of Queen Elizabeth. He adored Queen Elizabeth to the
Oh, yeah.
core.
He was in
Trump,
love with. He was besotted. He was
yes, yes,
besotted.
he was always humbled around Queen Elizabeth, and he actually thought that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry treated the British royal family very
Yes.
badly by their actions. And he always thinks that the royal family should do something about this Meghan Markle Prince Harry issue to stop them from actually further destroying the image of the royal family. They should call them out and tell them to stop. So Trump is a loyal man to the royal family. He loves the monarchy, and he for sure will want to have some form of revenge. Okay,
Well,
of his own.
to his credit, you're quite right.
Yes, yeah, to
Yeah.
these two in a way of either sending them back here to face the music. Okay. Okay.
Oh, celebrities are pathetic. Oh,
Okay.
I'm going to
So,
go to Australia. I'm going to go to New Zealand. They don't go anywhere. They're bread and
so,
butters in America.
so, absolutely. So I know Meghan and Prince Harry are crossing their fingers Trump doesn't get
Yeah,
in. Because if he
he
gets
will.
in, trust me, he is going to bring this back onto the table and he will want
Yeah.
Meghan and Harry, you know, back
It's
here to
their worst
face.
nightmare.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because Biden came up the other day and said Biden was pleading with the U.S. He was pleading with whoever is handling this Meghan and Prince Harry's visa application thing and telling them to keep those details private.
Oh,
Okay, and here is Donald wanting those details to be made public because everybody has to be treated the same when it comes to entering the United States.
that's
Okay,
right. Doesn't
so
matter, prince or pauper.
absolutely, because this is the sort of trends they follow with issuing visas. So that question there is very, very interesting, and I think
It's a
you are
good question.
right. They could be sent back home if, and that could also be the reason why. Yeah, it could be the reason why Prince Harry so badly apparently wants to find a home, buy property here
It
to
is their
sort of
worst
make himself
nightmare.
ready for those eventualities should they happen Because imagine him being sent back here, he's no longer got where to stay. Balmoral was, so not Balmoral, what's Frogmore Cottage was taken off them. Okay, so he literally has no official base here in the UK, apart from, because he was told to seek where to stay from his father whenever he intends to come. So he has to put it in writing and say, can I get
Yes.
to stay here? So it's not a case of him just coming back whenever he wants and he goes into Buckingham Palace. So he has to ask for permission.
Mm,
So
mm.
you can argue right now that he has no official base here. Okay, so
No, no.
if Trump woke up one morning and say, right, okay, I think you lied on your visa application forms, you need to go back, your visa is cancelled, then Prince Harry will struggle to sort of find somewhere to stay. So he apparently is trying to find a place to buy in the UK, and this could be because he's
Yeah.
probably preparing for those moments should they happen.
Well, it's the writing's on the wall, you know.
Mm,
It's as they've done this to themselves, you know. And she wouldn't, when there was an official, when he visited the UK, and she didn't even turn up to a reception. I thought
mm.
that was disgusting. I thought, do you think everyone in that room likes Donald Trump? I'm sure everyone's got their private feelings, but they're turning up to a state dinner. Oh, she's so disgusting, and he allowed it. He
Mm,
allowed it. Harry
mm.
allowed this nonsensical behaviour. So that's such a good question. It's actually such a good topic to end on because it's got me laughing my tits off, baby. Because it's
Yeah,
true. A Trump presidency for these two was a
yeah.
nightmare.
Oh God, this is going to be very, very interesting. So
Yes, yes,
let's see what's gonna happen. As for Meghan
yeah,
and Harry, for now, okay, they need to start thinking of ways in which they can get back into people's good books. Start
yes,
taking
yeah,
advice, okay, things like this Pat Tillman award. People
yeah,
signing that petition, the right thing would have been for Harry to say, you know what, I put my hand up, I'm not going to take that. I've listened to people. Small things like that will start actually making people
yeah.
like them, okay?
Doesn't take much.
It
People,
doesn't take much. Yeah, start from those little things
yeah,
and then work your
people
way up to
respond.
people
They
respond.
do.
Yeah,
They do.
arrange, just arrange for a meeting. You go and see Megan's father, take the kids. People will
Yeah,
see this and say, oh, okay,
yeah.
so these people are starting to get some sense. Okay, seek
Mm.
better ways to come back here and see your father. Speak to him
Yeah,
behind the scenes. Okay, can you plead for me, to my brother, to forgive me? And,
yeah.
put his ego aside, because that is one big thing that is stopping Prince Harry, I think, from making any
Mm,
progress with these
mm.
things. Not putting his ego aside. Okay. He's still taking himself as though he's always right. Everybody else is jealous of him, is treating him badly. And of course, with his wife on the side, this is not helping him at all.
No, it's just
Right.
poor Harry.
Okay, guys,
Can't
we have
believe
to
I've
end
said that.
this before this phone dies because I'm literally,
Thanks,
as
guys.
you
It's
can
gonna
see,
drop out.
you see the lights are going on
Yeah,
and off. So I'm
yeah, I
putting
can
back.
see. I can see. I feel like I'm in a carnival with,
Yeah.
moving mirrors.
Yeah, I
Thank
got
you,
these lights
Francis.
which are running out of battery and all of
Yeah.
that thing. The phone is on -2, and then
Oh no! Go, go, go! Get
so
out of here!
before it dies, I would like to say thank you everyone that has been on this live stream. We have such an adorable fan base.
Oh yes, yeah. We have a
Always
wonderful
sticking.
host. Look at
Yeah.
this fabulous, just gorgeous, good-looking chap.
Yeah, no. And Catherine, your time, thank you so much. Truly appreciate
Oh, it's
this
my
time of the
pleasure.
morning in Australia to wake up and
Yeah,
sit
look.
in front of the camera. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so we're gonna
Mm,
let you go. You go before
yes,
you
indeed. And
dial.
everybody else
Bye,
in the
everyone.
chat there, thank you so much.
Bye,
Look out for our
sweetie,
next
darling.
one soon. Thank you guys
Yeah.
for being here with us always. We truly appreciate your support. Bye bye,
Bye.
everyone. Bye. Bye bye. Okay.